OLeary is one of the investors on Shark Tank, one of the panelists. And he was being interviewed by Erin Burnett of CNN on her show Out Front. And they had a discussion about the minimum wage and business. And Erin Burnett was saying, hey, I bet you agree with the president sometimes, Kevin, on certain things. I mean, you're in line with the president on certain things. And Kevin OLeary was saying, well, I don't think so. And then Erin Burnett says, well, how about this? And plays this clip. Roll it.
What's interesting, though, is, okay, you're going about it from a very different way than the president, but it seems to me that people like you actually agree with him on something that's very important.
What would that be?
Well, let me play it for you. I have it here.
No matter who you are, where you come from, what you look like, how you started out, if you are willing to work hard and take responsibility, you can get ahead in America.
You have to agree with every word of that.
Of course I do. But to make that easier for me, if I was running a business with, let's say, 5 employees and I was thinking of hiring 2 more, I wouldn't want you to increase my labor costs by 39%, because then I can't employ any more people. In fact, I don't want you telling me what I should be paying them. I want the market to do that.
All right, so you're talking about the minimum wage here.
A huge issue.
But the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, has come out and said, yes, that you would bring a lot of people out of poverty by doing this.
That's not the job of policy in the private sector. What we should be doing to get people out of the situation they're in unemployment and poverty is creating more jobs so that everybody has that opportunity to work. That's what Americans want to do. They want to find a job.
But haven't you?
The discussion continues, and what I like about this is he's explaining what policy is. He's not even addressing the claim that it'll lift these people out of poverty, which the CBO claimed. The CBO also claimed that the stimulus would have the unemployment level never go beyond 8%, got up to 10%. It's supposed to be about 5%, and it's at 6.5%, but that's because people left the workforce, not because jobs are created. So the CBO did say it was going to kill 500,000 jobs. I think it's going to kill a lot more. Diana Furchtgott-Roth wrote a great piece on this, and I'm highlighting this because I want you to be aware of some of the things that the CBO is assuming, and we've gone with the numbers, but also not in total agreement with the CBO because they've been off, because they look at people like objects as opposed to human beings who will be incentivized one way or another so often in their scoring. That said, the conversation continued. Roll it.
You had it your way? I mean, people say, look at what happened to Wall Street, right? There was a lack of regulation. What happened there? Well, that was a disaster. Minimum wage has been where it is for a long time. Jobs haven't been created. So I could say, look, your way's not working.
It is working. The trouble with our job situation is our anemic growth. You know, our 3% less GDP growth when China's growing at 5 and 6 and 7%. We have created such a regulatory environment today that even a small business, and I keep pounding the table on this, has to spend $20,000 to $30,000 a year just complying with the 2,800 regulations we layered on them federally last year, let alone the state and local. You know, Aaron, I invest in small businesses every week. That's what I do. I'm an investor. You should have these people talk to you. Or even better still, let the president talk to somebody who's running a 17-person business in Massachusetts or 30 employees in California and hear what they say. They would not agree with him. And I think that is the core and the essence of America that we're not listening to. We need to listen to these people. They should tell us what to do. And what they want right now is less government.
Oh, that's beautiful. Now, I got to tell you off air, I just remarking on how ridiculously idiotic the characterization was to say it was lack of regulation that got us into the mess we were in. It was the regulation. It was the Community Reinvestment Act. It was forcing banks to make loans to people based not on their ability to pay them back, but rather a political outcome. And check out the American Enterprise Institute. Wonderful research and background. Another person who did a great deal of work on that and analyzing it and has done it for us is Jerry Boyer. Now, you are especially blessed because you are on AFR Talk, Green Durham's Nothing But Truth, AFR Talk, And you have Dan the Mancilia breaking this stuff down for you. It's also pretty wonderful to have somebody like Chris Woodward, who's breaking down the tax reform with Pete Seff and the National Taxpayers Union. Now, Chris, I've actually saved a segment for Chris. I'm hoping he could do it Friday. Maybe he'll do it tomorrow. But there's a segment dedicated. He's the business environment reporter for American Family News, AFN, and I have some gems about what the statements were from some journalists, specifically at CNN, regarding that. Now, the reason I bring them up is because it's not just about capitalism. That's a part of it, but it's also recognizing a Christian worldview here. When Mr. OLeary speaks to the regulation cost, I'm going to get to that in a second, but he ends it with less government. That's a good starting point. It's a really good starting point, because then it says, why do we believe in less government? Why do we believe in the freedom of the individual? Why don't we believe in something like what President Obama is proposing, like these these hubs of technology and innovation attempting to spur economic growth and to lead the world? Why? What do you mean? Well, okay, here's the president today. Roll it.
Keeping America at the cutting edge of technology and innovation is what is going to ensure a steady stream of good jobs into the 21st century. And that's why we're here today, to take new action to put America at the forefront of 21st century manufacturing. And today we're announcing the next 2 advanced manufacturing hubs. One is in the Detroit area, and the other is in Chicago, Illinois. Let me describe a little more why this is so important. For generations of Americans, manufacturing was the ticket to a good middle-class life. We made stuff. And the stuff we made, like steel and cars and planes, made us the economic leader of the world. We can launch 4 new manufacturing hubs this year. That's our intention. My Department of Energy is announcing the competition for the first of these new hubs today. So to businesses and universities or civic leaders who are watching, start forming those partnerships now. Turn your community into a global center for creating high-tech jobs. If we stay focused on winning this race, we will make sure the next revolution in manufacturing is an American revolution. And we'll make sure that opportunity for all is something that's made in the USA.
Okay, now, Coach Obama, after playing, that was yesterday, by the way, after playing CEO, when he mentioned he was a CEO like the Gap CEO, and I was referencing the fact when he gave the federal employees a raise, well, you didn't earn that, Mr. President. No, you can only take from people that do through the government, and oftentimes that's your job. People elected you, you're twice elected. I get that, but you're playing CEO. You have no clue of how a business works, and anybody with an ounce of common sense and business experience would certainly agree with that, unless they, of course, have been influenced by the fact that if they do say that, they might get an audit or something, or maybe they won't get a loan from the Department of Energy. Oh, these kinds of things with the Department of Energy and the grants and the money and the cooperation between the private and public sector to spur economic growth. That's not how it happens. And by the way, we are producing more than we've ever produced in manufacturing. We're just doing it with less. It's technology and advancements in technology. So while we can sit back and exploit the issue, because a knee-jerk response to manufacturing is, hey, I want people working, that was a way that people could work, I'm going to take that feeling and I'm going to impose it on today's market and today's business environment. Hey, that will work, because then people will go with me, and then I can advocate things like centrally planned economies with crony capitalism and, oh, guess what, protectionism as well. That's how we'll do it. It hasn't worked. It never has worked. It never will really work, because there are just too many things going on in a free market for innovation to take place, and to try to centralize it in any way, and also to add that idea of the government coming in as an umbrella, as a hub. Wow, you got more issues than you know what to deal with. Look at what took place in the green energy program. wasn't because people weren't investing or didn't want green, clean energy. It's because it's been out there, it hasn't worked, and if you centrally plan it, you're just going to distort. You're going to have malinvestment, in essence, because it's not going to be based on actual outcome. It's going to be based on a government and people getting rewards and incentivizing that. It's going to distort the market, and that's what's happened. So getting back to what Kevin O'Leary said about regulation and less government, it's the first recognition of why we need less government. Our founders understood that. It's the recognition that, yeah, our rights and our freedoms and our lives come from God, and we are made in his image. And the idea that we've been blessed with gifts and a free market allows us to use those gifts. Oftentimes, we can serve others with these gifts. And if we profit from that, it's not a bad thing. Hey, Christian left, you don't realize you're advocating Marxism and you're making God or government a god. You just don't get it. So you can talk about compassion. You can talk about a whole host of things. Greed. Oh, greed drives out. No. Actually, the spirit to innovate and serve others. Greed is tamed by a free market that recognizes the fallen nature of man. That's what happens. Greed's a constant. And there will always be people who are doing things for good and doing things for evil, in essence. It's going to happen. What I get concerned about is when government comes in and says, no, we are above that standard. We can do that, and we can pick and choose, and we'll reward our friends, and we're above human nature, so we're not going to be subject to the laws of incentivizing our own power and the protection for that. No, not at all. So if you follow me here, and this is what I'm getting to, when somebody starts recognizing that limited government's the way to go, they are taking a step toward a Christian worldview in some way. Because with recognizing limited government and the statism and what it is, they can get there. And so that's a good thing. But it's a starting place. And that's a good thing to recognize. And that's where America's going right now. They're starting to see that because they're seeing the false god of the state. I know there's been probably a lot of commentary on this clip today and free markets, all those things, but I want to bring it in to nothing but truth and to recognize that we have a tremendous opportunity as the left, as the statists flail and attempt to sell us products that will appeal to our emotion as opposed to not only our emotion, but our intellect and the truth and the record. Just to think about it. Are you going to do the Ashton Kutcher? Yeah, on the flip side, I'll play that for you. We're also going to open up the phone lines. And President Obama says OFA is doing God's work. What did he mean? Brain Durham's Nothing But Truth. AFR Talk.